Hey guys, I'm Naya and welcome back to the channel. For today's video, I decided to do another best decks tier list since about a month has passed since the last one. Please let me know if there's anything you agree or disagree with. I always love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And a quick disclaimer to make before we get started. If my phone is going off in the background, any kind of pings, anything like that, I cannot have it muted because I'm expecting a call. So I'm sorry about that. I'm trying to one take these tier lists usually, so I won't be cutting everything out. So it's in the background. Hopefully it's not annoying. We have a lot of decks, almost 80 decks at this point, so I won't waste too much time. But before we get into it, I would like to encourage you, of course, to sub to the channel and to check out all of the social media, including the newly created Patreon, if you want, of course. So the tiers are, as per usual, go to tier 1, tier 2, Rogue, Not Good, and the Bruh tier. And right now we have a new addition as the first deck, and it's Libromancer. And I think I'll be putting it at the top of Rogue. The deck itself seems kind of nice, but I just don't see that big of a representation, especially in top cuts. And it is having some tops here and there, but I still don't think that's, it makes it so it should be higher than Rogue. So right now, Rogue, but I will be keeping a close eye on it because I think it could be a tier 2 contender with maybe a bit more representation, and if it could be a bit more explored and just, I guess, later in the format, we will see. But right now, it's just at the top of Rogue. And then for the next one, we have ABC. And I'll be putting it in tier 2. Now, usually it's in Rogue. For the most part, as far as I can remember, like it's always been in the Rogue slot, but I think it's becoming quite a contender, and I think it's fitting to put it in tier 2. The theory and cards are an incredible addition, adventure stuff as well, and I love seeing it do well. I wasn't a big fan of ABC for the longest time because like the machine stuff and the equips and unequips just freaked me out a bit, but that's besides the point. I think it's a really good contender, and I think it's cool that it's in tier 2 right now. Then we have Adamantia. I'll be putting it in Not Good. It's way too fragile. It cannot contend, and as sad as it is to see, because it's an interesting combo deck without Block Dragon, of course, I still think it's only Not Good. Alright, then we have Dragon. So as you can see, I did a little like adjusting. So right now this is a picture of Striker Dragon together with the small Enchantress here. And I could be putting punk stuff in there as well, like in the picture, because usually those builds right now, it's Dragon, it's Adventure, it's punk stuff. And I think this deck is tier 1 for sure. It's so overwhelmingly used, like it's so represented. Looking at the NAWCQ, so many players played it. I like the deck. I think it's amazing. I think it's so strong. Although sometimes it feels a bit bricky, and I get that you have like ways to your adventure stuff, you have your dragon plays, but sometimes some hands are just a bit weird. So you really, I think, need to tailor your build really well. And I think punk stuff is an amazing addition, but because punk stuff got so expensive, it's kind of annoying to like have to put in adventure stuff, punk stuff, like all of that. So if you really want to maximize this deck, I think you need to invest in all of these engines as well. But seeing Dragon perform well, it just makes me really happy because I'm a big fan of it. And also Despia is sort of falling out of favor, so it's not that big of a threat anymore. And yeah, this is our first tier 1 deck. And then the next one, I also sort of mashed it together, and it's punk and adventure. So punk synchro, any kind of, of those synchro stuff. And I think I'll be putting it, let's see. I think I'll put it above Dragon Link, but they are basically on the same power level. Everything I said about Dragon could be applied here as well. It's just a mashup of a lot of these engines. But those decks always seem to me, and I think I'm quite right when I say this, that they are hard because they have that many different engines and lines of play. So you really need to be familiar with every single part of your deck, and then also how it works together. And even though like a 1-card combo or a 2-card combo might be basic, when you actually get disrupted or you draw certain hands, you need to tailor that to your actual situation you're in right now or right then. So yeah, I think these decks are sort of on the same power level, but I guess let's just put this one above the other one. Doesn't make much difference though. Then we have Ultrageist. I'll put it in Not Good. Like, I get that sometimes these trap decks can really how to put this, like they can catch a random meta deck off guard because they have that many trap cards, and it just really overwhelms the deck. But looking at it overall, its representation, its success, or the lack thereof, I should say, is just not doing well. And then we have Beat Trooper, also not good. Used to be fine with DPE and stuff like that, but right now it's just kind of meh, like it's not really doing anything. Might put it like below Adamantia, I guess. Then we have Blackwing. I'll put Blackwing at the top of not good because I do think with the support it's going to be much better, and I really like the fact they're getting support. I know they have a lot of, so Blackwings have a lot of fans out there and avid Blackwing players, but they're just not there right now. And then we have Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes is, you know, it's just not good. It's not really doing anything. As much as it's like getting explored by different players, it's not good. Like, even if like one person out of 500 just does well with the deck, that doesn't make it so the deck is actually good. It's way too fragile and way too weird and bricky sometimes, and it's just like, I don't know, I just really don't see it. And then we have Tri-Brigade. So Tri-Brigade is represented by Fractal. I used to have a mashup of Lyrilisk Tri-Brigade, but right now you have versions with Rescue Cat, you have Bird Up versions, and they're so different that I just decided to put, you know, just Tri-Brigade on the tier list. So all of these other versions are included in this one representation, and I'll put it at the top of tier 2. I think the deck is really nice, and I can see when it has success, like it just makes sense because it's consistent, tanky as a 2 now, and it's like, it's doing well. But sometimes I just think that even any kind of end board that the Tri-Brigade player puts up is sometimes not enough. Like, you have Appaloosa, you have Revolt, but sometimes that just gets completely annihilated by a good combo deck or something that's just way stronger. So I don't think it's tier 1. But yeah, top of tier 2, I think it's fine. For right now, we might put some stuff above it. And then we have BA. You know, it's just BA. It's not good. Like, I get that sometimes you pair it up with some trap cards and it might be doing fine, but it doesn't have any representation, any kind of success. And it's just way too slow, and the meta is like evolved to the point where a deck like BA is severely power crept. So there's just that. Then we have Cyberse stuff. I'll put it in Rogue. Cyberse has always did sort of the same thing, and it's doing the same thing right now. It's fine, can't really hang with the best of them, but can really catch you off guard, especially if you don't know what it's doing, because if it survives and like completely stops you, then they just kill you on the following turn. So there's that. Then we have Crusadia. It's just really bad. Like, a good going second deck, I think it's so hard to actually build and actually play, especially in a fast combo heavy meta or even a trap heavy meta. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's really hard to do. Sometimes a really good going second deck is actually a going first meta deck. Like, something like a Sword Soul deck is amazing going second, you know. But when you look at just a hard going second deck like Crusadia is, it just cannot do it, you know. It's just, it does way too many basic things that can be stopped easily. Cyber Dragon as well, like, it's above those decks, I would say. And I guess I'll put it at the top of not good, because it's not bad and it does mash together with Therian, which is also really nice, but it's still not seeing play. Like, let's just do top of not good. I really don't see it. Like, I might be doing it injustice. We could put it like bottom of Rogue. Let's be fair. Let's put it bottom of Rogue, but I just really don't see it doing well. And then we have Dark Magician. I'll put it, let's just put it next to Blue Eyes. I get that they're not exactly the same. I guess at this point it's just a meme, but I just don't think Dark Magician is good. And I think there's really everything that needs to be said about it. Then we have DDD. Let me think about that for a second. I think I'll put DDD in tier 2, simply because I know how much potential the deck has if people actually pick it up, but not many players decide to do so because it's that hard. So I think somewhere towards the bottom of tier 2, actually, because it's not seeing any kind of play. But when a good pilot picks it up, I think DDD is incredibly dangerous. Then we have Despia. I'll put it in tier 1. Usually I put it in Goated, but right now Despia is falling so out of favor. Like, it's so interesting, honestly. Like, people are just bored of it. It has been explored. They can't play hand traps, which are almost mandatory right now, and the engine itself is not that strong going second in a meta like this. Like, it used to be nice, and it's always like this. People sort of shift towards one deck and then they just completely let it go, and that's why also Dragon Link is rising in popularity again. But then if people start playing Despia again, they might use the Albalena to sort of hinder Dragon Link again. Despia can also be paired up with Outlich quite well, also with the upcoming Tearlament deck. So yeah, I think it has a lot of potential, and I think it's a really nice deck because it's also very consistent. But yeah, I guess just tier 1 for now. Dynamorphia, I'll put in Rogue. I think it's a cool choice, but it's one of those trap decks that like does not do enough to be able to be placed any higher. And then we have Dinos, also Rogue. Like, those decks are just way too power crept at this point, and the ban list did affect them, so yeah. Draco, like, not good. Like, for sure, it's just bad. Like, you have other decks that do much more. Like, right now, if you're choosing a stun deck, you're going to lean towards Flunder, not Draco. As long as Masterpiece is banned, like, Dynamite Knight can come to 3, it's not going to make a difference. Now, Diagram, on the other hand, that might be an issue because it can be paired up with a deck like Dinos as well, so the card itself. But looking at the Draco deck altogether, like, it's just not there without Masterpiece. Then we have Dragon Mates. So, you know, I don't know. Not good? Top of not good? Let's do top of not good. I get what the deck does. It's very basic. You just go for the combo and you go for your extra deck stuff, but then it just stops right there. Like, I don't know, it's not good enough. Dragoonity is let's put it in not good, somewhere towards the bottom. But I do want to point out that I think Dragoonity has potential, and especially if Dragon Link stuff gets hit. Like, let's just imagine that happens. I don't really see it happening, but we'll see. If it gets hit, if it gets severely hit, the cards Dragon players are going to be utilizing are going to be Dragoonity cards, but then at that point, that's essentially Dragon Link with the engine. So I don't really know how to classify that. But yeah, you know, Dragoonity is just not good. Then we have Jaichon. Damn, let me think about that. So I think top of tier 2 is fine. I still don't think it's tier 1, especially due to the lack of representation. But I think Jaichon is definitely a deck to look out for. I think it's so dangerous if piloted in, like, that's a weird phrase. I wanted to say if played in the like correct hands of the player. You know what I mean. That entire sentence was just confusing. If piloted well and if put in the right hands, I think the deck is so strong and just really nice. But it's also kind of weird because you need to build the perfect build, and there are so many engines that can go together with this deck that it's just sort of hard to build it to perfection, I think. So it takes a lot of skill. Then we have like Machine, Earth Machine, any kind of those decks. I think I'll put it somewhere at the top of Rogue. Maybe I'll put Libromancer above it, but I think Earth Machine is like, it's so nice. It seems like a deck that's like one busted card away from being like top of Rogue or tier 2 even. But yeah, together with Theory and stuff as well, like it boosts Earth Machine as well as like Cyber Dragon and ABC, other things. But you know, at that point, if you're choosing a machine deck, you're probably using ABC together with Therians, and like, yeah, that's pretty much it. Outlich. No, not tier 1. Let's do tier 2. Maybe like over here. I think Outlich is a really nice deck. Let's just put it below Tri-Brigade though, because it didn't see a lot of representation, at least in the top cut. But yeah, Outlich I think is going to be better moving forward into the slight Tearlament format. Right now it's nice, especially paired up together with branded stuff. So I think it's still a deck to look out for. But with Outlich, it's kind of funny because there's a huge difference. I always like to say this, but there's a huge difference between a good Outlish player and a bad Outlish player. Like, if you are a bad Outlish player, you are going to get blown out like in 5 minutes. It's just the way it is. But if you're a good one, and if you're playing a good build and a good assortment of trap cards, because right now floodgates are so important and so prevalent that yeah, I think it's like somewhere towards the top of tier 2. Exodia is just bruh. I guess I should start putting Exodia in goated, but that would be weird. You know, if someone just skips to the end of the video and sees that would be kind of weird. So let's just put it at the top of bruh. But you know, it's Exodia. Then we have Flunder. I think I'll put it in tier 1. I think Flunder is a very strong contender. As much as I hate the deck, as much as I, you know, don't have a lot of love for it, I still cannot take away the fact that it's very strong, can definitely hinder most of the meta, can utilize D-Shifter, can utilize the barrier statue. And with the support it keeps on getting, you know, with the quick play spell card, like all of that is just getting better and better. So yeah, Flunder tier 1 for sure. Then we have Fluffles. I think I'll put them like somewhere towards, I guess let's do middle of not good, because Fluffle, if like built and played correctly, I think can like achieve a random win of like 1 or 2 rounds at locals. I might be kind of rude, but you know what I mean. Like, the deck is just not that great. Then we have Paleo. So Paleozoic Frog, like anything frog, it's just not good. It's definitely, let's do it, let's put it next to Ultra, guys, because it is one of the trap decks that I always like to refer to as being not that strong, just because there's trap decks and they really cannot hang with the best of them. So if you are choosing a trap deck, probably you're leaning towards Outlich. And then we have Goki. I'll put Goki in Rogue. Like, I think Goki is such a cool deck. I'm a big fan of the deck itself, the archetype, of course, because they're wrestlers and I just adore that. But yeah, it's way too fragile and can be stopped way too easily to be put any higher. I think it's nice, but at the same time, like, I also think I'm going to like put a lot of decks above it and then just sort of move it towards the bottom of Rogue, because it's just not that great. Then we have Malicious. Then we have Malicious. What was that? Then we have Heroes. So Heroes are definitely a Rogue deck. Definitely a good contender. I think I'll put it somewhere towards the top of Rogue. Heroes are so good if piloted correctly. Like, if a player definitely knows like the ins and outs of the deck, I think they can just overwhelm you easily, OTK you easily, and they're becoming more and more accessible. So more players can actually pick them up because the cards were so expensive. But right now they might even have more representation moving forward. So it's always nice to see, you know. And then we have Attignister. I think I'll put Attignister at the top of Rogue because I think it's a really nice contender and it manages to get a couple important and premier tops. But overall, if you look at the actual conversion rates and the representation, like, the deck is just not really there yet. But it's a deck that can utilize Mystic Mine, and I know a lot of decks can, but you know, that's just a plus at this point. And I know Mine is a hated card, but it's also very useful. So I think it's the fact that it has 1-card combos and so much space for tech cards that can be adjusted to the format, and that's why it makes it not so good, because it's not higher than Rogue, but that's what makes the deck top of Rogue, I think. And then we have Infernobles. They're just really bad right now. The what's it called? Auroradon hit hurt a lot, so let's just place it somewhere down here. What did I do? Oh, I threw frogs down there. Okay. Then we have Infernoids, and they're also just straight up bad. Way too slow, way too old, don't do enough. Invoked. I think I'll be putting it in Rogue. Like, if I'm being completely honest, I haven't seen an Invoked deck for like the longest time. You know, if anyone is playing any kind of fusion deck, it's going to be Despia. And it's not that the deck is bad. I think it's really nice if, like, you know, if it draws the perfect hand of like access to every single engine, but realistically that's not always going to happen. And yeah, it's just Rogue. It's so funny to see because people were rooting to, you know, to like, what's the phrase? Rooting for stuff getting limited or banned when you look at Nadir Servant, when you look at Alistair and Meltdown. But right now, what actually happened is the meta pushed the deck itself out of the top slots, out of the top contenders. And honestly, like, as much as I hate sometimes when a deck is not hit when it probably should be at a certain point in time, it's also, on the other hand, so funny to see when power creep happens, when other decks just rise and the deck doesn't even need to be hit anymore. So, you know, then we have Cosmo. Cosmo is just bruh at this point. Like, I don't want to be rude, but the deck is just bad. Then we have cragging control, like any kind of those water type stuff that people like to complain that I don't put on the tier list. It's just bad. Like, I don't know what to tell you, like probably somewhere here, because other decks are just that worse. And I think I should be putting Altergeist a bit higher. I don't know what I'm doing, but other than that, yeah, like the deck is here. Some people play it, but it's just not really good. And then we have Evo Twins, Live Twin, whatever, like that deck. I think it's Rogue. Let's put it somewhere over here. Maybe above Heroes though. The engine might be used in Splight, so that's something to take into account. But I do think people will be leaning towards the frog stuff in Splight, or Sprite. I should start calling it Sprite. But yeah, the deck itself, like, it's nice. It's one of those decks that has a lot of space for hand traps and stuff like that. So it's not exactly bad and can have a couple tops here and there, I guess, at like local levels. But it's not better than that. Then we have Luna Lights, and they're just not good. Like, honestly, one Tiger is not enough. Even Thank You to 2, like, doesn't make a difference. They're just not that great. Let's move it somewhere here, I guess. Like, I don't know. They're not doing anything, and I don't really have a huge problem with that. Like, Tiger is just scary. I don't know. Then we have Madolce. And it's also just kind of bad, you know? Like, I guess we can put it somewhere towards the top of not good, because it is better than the other worst decks, but that's pretty much it. Like, it's not there yet. Let's move BA a bit higher though. And let's put this above Blackwing, because Blackwing without support is also not that great. So let's do something like that. Then we have Magical Musket, also not good, although I should be putting it at the top of not good, I think, because it's a nice deck. If you only look at the not good category, like, it's much better than them, but that's pretty much it. Grand Maju, like, yeah, top of not good. It's not Rogue yet. I know they have Pot of Desires to 2 now, but that just doesn't make it so every single person is going to be picking up Grand Maju now, so no. And like, sometimes it has a top here and there, but one top or two tops don't make the deck better, like, in the grand scheme of things. And then we have Marinces. So I was really excited to put this tier list together, especially because I get to put Marinces higher. And I'll put it in tier 2, below Eldritch and below those decks, because still, you know, the deck can be stopped. Like, you cannot rely on the fact that you're always going to have a ton of hand traps in your hand as well to get you going, to make it so you survive if your board gets broken. But it's, other than that, I think the deck is really nice, and I love seeing old decks get support and actually get better as well. It utilizes Gozen, and like I said, floodgates are really important right now. It has tops, it has a lot of representation, it did well at the NAWCQ, and it's just overall nice to see. And on top of that, the deck is really accessible. Like, it's cheap, you know, you can actually get your hands on it because the expensive cards got reprinted in the Mako set. So it's really nice to see. I'm a big fan of Marinces doing well, so I think I'll place it somewhere over here. Let's do it above Outlet, maybe even. Or below. I don't know. I'm not sure. I guess somewhere over here is fine. Yeah. Alright, then we have Mathmech. I guess we can put it in Rogue. Like, the deck is not bad, but I think the support is what it's missing. So in a couple weeks, it's going to get much better. Then we have Mech Knights, and Mech Knights are just bad. Like, they're sadly not a great deck. I did see a feature match with Mac Knight and at NAWCQ, and the player was doing quite okay. They had a good score with the deck, but still, you know, it's only one player and the deck is just not that great. And then we have Mermaids, and they're also not good, you know, they're like, I don't know, like bottom of Rogue maybe, because it's a nice combo deck, but it reminds me of like Adamantia in a sense where, yeah, it's a combo deck, but it just gets stopped and it's just not that great. So maybe even top, like somewhere towards the top of not good, actually. I don't know. Like, I just really don't see it. Grand Magic could go a bit lower though. I think that's fine. And then we have Monarchs. They're just bruh. Monarchs are funny, they don't do anything. Then we have Mystic Mind Burn, definitely bruh. I think I'll put it next to Exodia because Exodia is cool and we hate Mystic Mind Burn. So that's why it's in the bruh tier. I'm not saying the deck is that bad because sadly it can achieve a couple things if they draw like, you know, Mystic Mind, Demise of the Land, Goddess Cold's Oracle, Field Barrier, you know, the perfect hand, and a Solemn Judgment and a Dark Bribe. That's pretty much it. We hate on Mystic Mind. Or Mystic Mind Burn, I should say. Just Mystic Mind Burn. Then we have Necros. They're just not good. They're just really bad, actually. They're such an old deck, you know, they're just really power crept at this point. Okay, we need to scroll down a tiny bit. We have Numeron stuff. Also just straight up bad. Like, what are you doing? If you're playing Numeron at this point, it's just kind of weird. Let's put it actually like completely down here. Yeah. Then we have Orcust, and it's also just really, really bad without Harp Horror. Although, you know, if they do get Harp back, I think they might be doing a tiny bit more, but just a tiny bit. Plunder Patrol, I think I'll put them in Rogue, but let me decide where. Maybe above Cyburst, because like those decks here at the top of Rogue, they actually see occasional play. And I think Plunder Patrol together with Adventure stuff is a threat sometimes, especially if the opponent has no idea what the deck is doing. And then we have Pendulum. So Endymion is like representative of everything Pendulum. Let's just put it at the top of not good. My argument is the fact that they can be played with Adventure stuff because any kind of Pendulum deck is not usually reliant on the normal summon. And they are slowly getting stuff off the ban list, but you know, if we don't get actual Electromite off the ban list or some other things that more copies, I still don't think Pendulum is going to be doing well. And I also get that sometimes a good pilot can build a deck, can put Adventure stuff in it, and Beyond the Pendulum is something. Like the Link is an addition. It is, it did push the deck like one step higher, but that's still like only in the not good slot. So as sad it is to see, because I'm a fan of Pendulum, but you know, they're sort of scary, I think. If they get too many cards and too many good cards, they're going to overwhelm the metas like so hard that we won't know what hit us. So I think they're just being slow with Pendulums right now. Then we have Phantom Knights, and it's so funny because I think I'll just put them at the top of Rogue at this point, maybe below Adagnister. They are not doing anything, and in the OCG, like, they were actually played together with Adventure stuff, and I guess the main difference is the fact that over there they have Max C, so they didn't have a lot of extenders to play in the deck, so they just played it, you know? Phantom Knight stuff, Adventure stuff, that's pretty much it. But when you translate the deck over here, we have tons of extenders because there's no fear of Max C. But then you get those weird bricky hands and the builds need to be perfect. And sometimes you just don't know whether you want to build it 40, 60, 50. And it's just, at that point, you probably decide and just drop the deck and pick something else up. As sad as it is to see, it's not better than Rogue, sadly. And also, it's not seeing any kind of representation, so there's that as well. Then we have Prank It. So they're just not good. They're honestly a really bad deck right now. I should probably put them like somewhere quite low, like somewhere over here, I guess, because you can still play like polymerizations and stuff like that, but realistically, who's gonna do that? Like, probably no one. Okay, cool. Then we have Cyframe stuff. Cyframe is really, really bad. I think it's just funny. The deck is just so funny and doesn't really do anything. Okay, then we have Punktirian. So this picture is honestly horrible. Hold on, let me just put it in tier 2. Because there's like half of Tyrian King and half of Zeamin, and only the left half. You can even see its actual face. I'm sorry about that, but you know what I mean. It's Punktirian. So tier 2 I think is fine because the deck is a really strong contender, but it's still not like tier 1. So I guess next to ABC, since both of these decks are utilizing Tyrian, I think this placement is perfect. Then we have Red Eyes. I'll be putting it in Bruh just because it's that worse than all of the other decks. It's not seeing any kind of play, and I probably wouldn't even include it on the tier list, but it's Red Eyes, so I kind of feel like I need to. Then we have Salamangreat. I'll put it in tier 2 for sure, but let's do it over here because I think it's almost a Marince's deck, but Marince's is better. Like, they're both Cyberse, but Marince's just, I don't know. It seems like it's doing a bit more, even though the decks like both utilize Goes and they're both Cyberse decks. They're really similar. They have a lot of space for hand traps. But Salamangreat to me just seems like sometimes the board it makes is not enough. Even if it has Rage and like 2 hand traps or something, it's going to get blown out by Nibiru that's getting main decked a lot again. And maybe moving forward when we reach the Splite things and Nibiru doesn't see that much play, a deck like this can rise up again. But you know, maybe I'm doing it injustice. Maybe I should put it higher, but I just really don't see it. Like, it has some representation, which is also cool to see. But yeah, probably somewhere in tier 2. And then we have Shaddolls. They're just really bad. They're just, you know, if you play Shaddol, then you're playing IDS, but IDS is like only Rogue. So if you look at actual Shaddolls, they're just not doing anything. Like, you're not going to be playing Trap Shaddol, probably. Then we have Sky Striker. Definitely a tier 2 contender. I think I'll put it above Salamangreat because Sky Striker itself just annihilates Salamangreat. Hold on. Let me think about that one more time because I think I should be placing it a bit higher. Let's place it... Yeah, let's place it over here. I don't know what I'm thinking. Like, Jachan is nice, but Sky Striker is nice as well. And of course, it utilizes Mystic Mine, and also it's strong going second because it utilizes a lot of going second cards that aren't even in archetype, but the archetype itself is also very dangerous going second, I think. And even going first, if the person builds it going first with the Mice of the Land, with trap cards like Chapchick, like D-Berry, or like, you know, things like that, as well as with Mystic Mine and hand traps on top of it, the only thing left, like the only thing missing is the consistency. But Pot of Prosperity can be used in the deck, and I think it grants a lot. Like, it grants a lot of different plays and access to your engine when you wouldn't be able to do that. So if you can take advantage of Pot of Prosperity, I think that's very vital, but it is expensive. So that's like the only downside. But yeah, Sky Striker is still going strong after 4 years, which is so funny. But honestly, as much as I know some people hate the deck, I like seeing it do well. So there's that. Then we have Speedroids, and they're just they're not good. They do some Speedroid stuff, but like nobody really runs them, and yeah, they're just kind of bad. I think I'll put them somewhere down here. Then we have Spiral, not that great as well. Like, maybe next to Orcus, just because if Spiral does get like Master Plan back, which hopefully, you know, doesn't happen, it can get much better. But with a quick fix at 1, Spiral Resort at 1, I don't know, it's not going to do anything. Then Inspector Border is like the representation of stun, and stun decks are sort of like, they remind me of Mystic Mindburn because it's just an annoying deck to deal with that has like a couple stun cards and just like completely stops you. But those decks, I think, cannot win a match. Like, if you have a good deck, if you win the Tyro, if you have back row removal, even if they win 1 game, I don't think stun decks can win a match. So I think I'll put them somewhere down here. They're just bad. Like, stun decks just do not do anything. But yeah, sometimes they just catch people off guard, but only for like a game or 2. Not inside 1 match though. like actual games. Maybe I'm doing it injustice. Maybe it's better than that, but I just don't really see it. Let's put it somewhere down here, I guess. Then we have Subterror. Subterror is just bad. Like, some people like to sort of be defensive about that, but I guess we can put it next to Altergeist because they're both trap decks, but they're just not good. Like, I'm sorry, they're just not. Then we have Sun Avalon, and I think I'll put it at the top of Rogue because the deck has a lot of potential, but it's also very hard to pilot, and players are just not really leaning towards it. But I still think the deck has a lot. Like, I think it can offer a lot. Then we have Sword Soul. So Sword Soul tier 1 for sure. I'll put it above Despia. I think those 3 decks like at the top are the best ones, and then you have all of the other ones. Sword Soul is incredible. Sword Soul is, I think, really hard to master. And I think it's such a rewarding deck and such a consistent deck and such a fair deck, and I just love seeing it do well. And yeah, it's just really nice. I'm a big fan of it. So tier 1, I mean, I'm not putting it in tier 1 because I'd be a fan. It's just really good. But yeah, the next one is Synchro. So Synchron, like anything with synchros, and it's just it's just not good. Like, I can put it next to Speedroid, I guess, because both these decks seem like they do a couple things, but what they do is just not enough. So yeah, you know, Synchro. Then we have Agents. So this is also a new addition. I'll be putting it in Rogue. I just need to decide where. I think I'll put it above Libromancer because they sort of like, they remind me of each other. They were both new additions to the meta. People started playing them and started doing quite well, but they're still not at the top levels. So I think it's fair to just put them somewhere in Rogue. Then we have Thunder Dragon. Sadly, it's just really bad right now. We can put it, like, for all time's sake next to Orcust. If they get something back, which probably they won't, we can put them there. Then we have Traptrix. And we can just squeeze them next to Paleo because they're both trap decks that are just not that great. There's better trap decks and there's better decks overall. Then we have Trickstar. I think I'll put them, I guess, somewhere towards the top of not good, because I have seen a couple people like try things out with Trickstar, but that's pretty much where it stopped. Like, it's not seeing any kind of tops or anything like that. But yeah, like Sage is slowly coming back. Probably it's coming to 3. So yeah, then we have Unchained. I think I'll put Unchained in Rogue, maybe like below Dinos, somewhere over here. Yeah, somewhere over here is fine. Or let's do above Dinos. Unchained is, on an unrelated note, Unchained is a deck really hated by me. I just really despise it. I just don't really like it. Not any particular reason for it. I'm just not a fan. But yeah, objectively looking at it, I think it should be Rogue. And then we have Utopia. I don't know, at this point I don't really know. For a couple of these decks, I'm not sure why I still have them on here. It's just not good. Let's put it below Crusadia. Then we have Virtual Worlds. So this deck is like, I like the deck and it has been able to actually be played even though it's not that great for the longest time. So like, I respect the deck for it, but it's just not great. Like, I think I'll put it like below Libromancer. All of these decks right here, like maybe with the exception of the top 3, like all of them can be played and they will maybe achieve a good result if the player is really good, and also if they happen to draw good hands, like win dice rolls, have actual good matchups. Those things play into account when it comes to these decks because they're just not that strong. So they can, any help they can get is really nice. So Virtual World, especially because it's so inconsistent, this is also a downside. So yeah. Then we have World Chalice. I think I'll put it in Bra, but like, I don't know. I really like the deck, but it's not doing anything. And then we have Zombies. So this one, it's so funny because the last tier list I made, about an hour after I posted it, I saw like people having results with zombies, like stuff was posted on YouTube, and I was just like, you know I put it very low in my tier list, so I need to redeem myself with the next one, and here I am redeeming myself with putting zombies in Rogue, and I think I'll be putting it actually below Virtual World. I think zombie with punk and with like adventure stuff and all of that is a really cool deck. However, I need to point out the fact that usually when you look at players like play this deck, the stuff they actually play is like punk and adventure. Like they don't get to the zombie engine. Like it's just, you know, at that point you're probably better off just playing a different deck if you already have these engines. But if you're playing it for like pure love of zombies, then I can respect that for sure. And yeah, I think the deck is really nice. Zombie World is very oppressive as well, so that's something to take into account. But yeah, like, I don't know, I like the deck. I really like it, and it's cool to see it do well. And then for the last one, we have Zodiac, and it's not good, but let me quickly decide where I want to put it. Maybe like over here is fine, because it's still a going second deck if you actually look at it. Like it's okay, and it utilizes Zeus, but without Trident, it's just not going to be able to perform. So there's that. That's pretty much it. Like, hopefully this video wasn't too long. Hopefully we covered everything. If there's anything you might want to see me put on the tier list next, please let me know. And don't say Raid Raptors. I get a lot of comments about Raid Raptors, and I'm just kidding. But, you know, a couple of these decks are just, they don't see any kind of play. They're just really not that great. But if I get enough comments, I just might put Raid Raptors on the list next, because I know some people want to see it. So there's that. But yeah, of course, if you liked it, like it. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Like, my favorite part about tier lists is being able to read your opinion. And yeah, if you like it, please, like I said, sub to the channel, you know, check out all of the social media, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.